Okay, so welcome everyone. And it's very difficult for a science person to give a non-science type of a talk. So I had a challenge kind of putting this thing together. Just out of curiosity, how many people have heard of Sikkim in the room or on Zoom either?
Can you speak into the mic a little bit
Okay.
closer?
Okay, so I was just asking, like, how many people have heard of this place? Yeah. So, do you know it as a part of India or?
We've been with the International Friendship Program for 30 years. We know many Indian students over the 30-year period.
So you have known it as a part of India?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have one person and students like that.
Okay. So I'll clear all the misconceptions about Sikkim. And just to start, I'm not from Sikkim. I'm from Nepal. I was born in Nepal and I am from Nepal. So, but I'll show you what the links I have with Sikkim is. So, um, with that, I'd like to start my presentation. It's kind of frozen. All right. So, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge the International Coffee Hour for inviting me to give this talk. And then also, I would acknowledge the Forest and Environment Department of Sikkim for providing me some information. And I got various information from various websites. And Mr. Uday Gurung, who's my brother-in-law, he gave me some slides as well. So, Sikkim, as you probably have heard or know it as the 22nd state of India. But I will get into the history of how it became the 22nd state of India. And it's in the northeastern part of the Himalayas, and it's bordered by Tibet in the north, Bhutan in the east, Nepal in the west, and West Bengal, which is another state in India, in the south. The highest mountain peak there is Mount Kanchenjunga, which is the third highest peak in the world after Everest and K2. So that peak is between India and Sikkim in Nepal. So the area of Sikkim is around 4,400 square miles approximately, and the population is about 660,000 people, and the density is like 223 people per square meter. So if you look at the ethnic communities, most of the people in Sikkim are of Nepalese origin. You see that the Rais, the Chetris, the Limbus, and the Bhutias, they make up the majority of the population there. And these are all Nepalese-speaking people. And there are others as well in minority. And you can see that almost two-thirds of the people in Sikkim speak Nepalese. And the others, they have Sikkimese speaking people, the Limbu speaking people, and Hindi, which is the national language of India, and others. As far as religion goes, majority of them are Hindus, and that's primarily because most of them are from Nepalese origin. So 57% are Hindus, about 27% are Buddhists, and then we have about 10% Christians and others. So that's like the religious distribution in Sikkim. So now I'm going to get into the interesting part of the history of Sikkim. Sikkim in 1641 AD was inhabited first by the Lepchas, the Limbus, the Magars. These were the tribes ruling independently, and these are all of Nepalese origin. And early in the 17th century, the Tibetan migrants, who are called the Bhutias locally, came into Sikkim because of the conflict between the yellow hat and the red hat Tibetans. So Dalai Lama, as you may know, is a yellow hat from the yellow hat sect. So he's not from the red hat sect. So they had that conflict, and most of the people of the other sect came into Sikkim. And they established Sikkim as a Buddhist kingdom, and then they elected a king of Tibetan origin. So you got to know now, most of the people that were local were of Nepalese origin. So you have a refuge from immigrants from Tibet coming in and now establishing a kingdom in that area and calling it Sikkim. That didn't go too well with the locals. So what they did was they elected a king, Phuntsok Namgyal, and he was the first king. King is called Chogyal, and wife of the king, the queen, is called Gyalmo in Sikkimese language. So the Nepalese origin people, the Limbus, the Magars, they refused to accept a Tibetan origin person as a king. But the Tibetan king brought in an army from Tibet and subdued the local population there. So that's how it was established. But then, Nepal fought a war with Sikkim in 1788 and annexed a lot of portions of Sikkim. And you've also probably heard of Darjeeling, which is in India, that was also part of Nepal. And Sikkim was also invaded by Bhutan. So they had these wars, and it was not a peaceful situation back then. Then comes the British. So the British, when these Sikkimese people were having trouble with the Nepalese, they kind of sided with the British, and they signed a treaty with the British, like to get a protectorate status from the British, who were ruling India at that time. And then the British negotiated with Nepal, and all the annexed land was returned to Sikkim in 1817, and that's called the Sugauli Treaty. Nepal lost a lot of land to Sikkim at that time. So now, even then, there was still that danger of being invaded. So Sikkim was guaranteed an independent nation by Britain when India gained independence in 1947. So Sikkim was a separate country, and it was a separate country for a long time. So even the Prime Minister of India, uh, Nehru at that time, gave Sikkim a special protectorate status, and he signed the 1950 peace treaty. And that treaty between India and Sikkim was in 1950, guaranteeing them that they would be a separate country. Now, what happened in 1962 was India and China fought a war on the border of Sikkim in a place called Nathula Pass. And now it became a very sensitive area between India and India and China. That country itself, the existence of that country was in danger. And Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, she didn't have any patience in keeping Sikkim as a separate country. So India took control of Sikkim in 1973 as its associate state, but it was still considered like a self-governing state. So in 1975, what happened was the Sikkim Parliament completely got rid of the king and declared Sikkim had become part of India through a referendum. So that's how Sikkim merged into India, and it didn't go too well at that time. So India in 75 announced Sikkim as the official state, 22nd state of India. And China, meanwhile, didn't like that. So they only recognized Sikkim as a part of India in 2003. So that's been the history. Now, a little bit of my connection. I was actually present on the day the Indian Army came into Sikkim to take over India, because I have connections in Sikkim that I will get into later. I was there to see the army come into Sikkim and take over the country. So at that time, when Sikkim was merged with India, there was a person called Kazi Lendup Dorje. He was the chief minister of, actually, he founded the Sikkim National Congress. And for political gains, he joined the party with the Indian National Congress, which was in power at that time. Indira Gandhi was, with the Congress party, was very powerful at that time. So he kind of merged Sikkim with India through that referendum, and India recognized Sikkim as the 22nd state, and he became the chief minister. But he had to, during his last days of his life, he was pretty infamous. people saw him as someone who sold the country to India. So he had to, if you read his biography or his interviews, he kind of died with that kind of um, feeling that, although he may have done the right thing at that time, but he had to live with that. So even in Nepal, like when we have problems with other countries and people say, oh, you don't want to be another Lenduk Dorji selling your country to another country. So, so that was like, how Sikkim became a part of India. So the last royal family was Palden Donduk Namgyal. He was the king, and after uh, his first wife was Sikkimese, and they had two children. Then after she passed away, he married Hope Cook. Hope Cook was actually from California, and she was the daughter of John Cook and Hope Noyes, a pilot from San Francisco. So this was in 1965. So she became the queen of Sikkim, and I had the honor of seeing them one time, both the king and the queen. So after 5 months, uh, when Sikkim was taken over, Cook returned to the US and she actually went to New York. And she lived a very difficult life in New York. And probably if you Google Cook, you'll see all the things that she went through after coming back to the US. She had three children, and I think they're still in New York. One of them probably passed away in a car accident in New York sometime in the early 90s, but I think they're still there. But she died in 2013, and that's Hope Cook and the king, and this is the whole family. So the two elder boys that you see are from the first wife of the Chogyal, and the three are from Hope Cook. So the other three or two of them are still in the US, somewhere in New York. And it was quite an event. Like this is an old clip of a marriage ceremony of the king with Queen Cook.
Joy abounds in the tiny Himalayan kingdom of Sikkim on the wedding day of the Maharaja's son to a beautiful American girl. The capital of the 2,800 square mile Indian protectorate is Gangtok. Guests include distinguished visitors from many countries. American Ambassador Galbraith is the witness for the bride. The Maharaja arrives at the Gompa, or Buddhist temple, for the marriage of his son and heir to the New York socialite Hope Cook. The ceremony is long, impressive, and to Westerners extremely complicated. The bride and groom wear similar rich ceremonial robes. Part of the marriage tradition is the placing of a scarf around the bride's neck. The groom receives his scarf. To their palace walk the Crown Prince and his future queen, the first Westerner to marry into the royal family. A romance that began in a college field trip reaches its dazzling climax in this exotic kingdom.
So that was Hope Cook's marriage. If you read this article, if you Google this article, you'll find the story of Hope Cook when she came back after Sikkim was taken over by India. Her life was not very exciting. I guess she went through difficult periods in her life in New York. Well, a little bit of geography. The capital city of Sikkim is Gangtok. It's at an elevation of 5,400 feet with a population of about 100,000 people. So that is Gangtok there. And just a video to show you what Gangtok looks like. This is modern Gangtok. see it's a fairly densely populated city now, and very different from what it used to be. Um, so now I want to move over to the biodiversity of Sikkim. Sikkim covers only about 0.2% of the geographical area of India, but has 26% of the country's total biodiversity. So a lot of biodiversity there. It's actually one of the hot spots for biodiversity in the eastern Himalayas. And you can see, the state flower there is orchid. There are about 515 different types of orchids in Sikkim. So those of you who are orchid fans probably have heard of Sikkim for its fame in orchids. The state tree is rhododendron, which is also one of the state trees of Nepal. So it's a very diverse. Those of you from College of Sciences, like want to take a study abroad trip, I think it's a very good place to look at biodiversity, not just for plants, but also for animals. The red panda is the state animal, and the state bird is the pheasant, the blood pheasant, and there's all kinds of mammals there, and that's why it's a hotspot for biodiversity. You have the musk deer, the snow leopards, the Himalayan black bear, and the different kinds of birds. And now this is closer to my area of expertise, organic farming. So Sikkim was the first state in India to declare itself 100% organic in 2016. It's been a challenge for them to go completely organic, but they are committed, and they are doing everything possible to go organic. So it's a very good initiative that they've taken there. And just to show you some of the So that's about organic farming in Sikkim. Now, as far as culture of Sikkim goes, it's a mixture. I saw this on the website. 5 reasons why Sikkim is the perfect melting pot of cultures. People, mostly of Nepalese origin, the Bhutias, which are of Tibetan origin, and the original people there are the Lepchas. The lifestyle, the fairs and festivals, the art and architecture, the literature and music. It's a very vibrant place. There's always something going on every week or almost every month. And you can see that it is a mixture of Nepalese culture, the Lepcha culture, and the Buddhist culture as well, Tibetan culture. So it's a very diverse mixture of the cultures of that region. And these cultures have also flourished in terms of tourism. Like there's a place called Ravangla. I think that's the Kanchenjunga range right behind it, And I happened to be there during the monsoon season, so I couldn't see the mountains, but there's just a testimony that I was there. And then the other part is the Hindu culture. Some of the people from India or who know Hindu culture, I forget what it is. Um, uh, Forgot what it is actually. It's like, you find almost every famous temple of India, replica of that in that particular area. And that's Kanchenjunga again in the background. It's in a place called Namchi, and again, a testimony that I was there. So, and there's also the Christian culture, so we have churches as well over there. So as far as the local, festivals and dances and all, this is the traditional lepcha dance. These are the traditional people from Sikkim. Since these are longer clips, just wanted to show. That's the lecture dance, and this is the Bhutia dance from. This is now the Tibetan. So those of you who have attended the international festival here on campus, seen the lion dance. So they also have the same lion dance. They do the same thing, and they have an additional dance called the yak dance, which is similar to the lion dance as well. Now this is the Nepali dance. As you can see, it's dominated by the three main groups: the Nepalese, the Bhutias, and the Lepchas. So the Bhutias again are from Tibet, and you'll see that the foods of Sikkim is also primarily dominated by the Nepalese cuisines. So these are some of the famous foods of Sikkim, and one of them similar to the pho, Vietnamese pho. So this would be something like the pho. So it's mostly dominated by Nepalese origin cuisines and some mixture of Tibetan cuisines as well. So now, the question that some of you may have, like, what is my connection to Sikkim, or why am I talking about Sikkim? So I should say that my mother is from Sikkim, and that's her ancestral house. It's in South Sikkim, and it's in a place called Turuk. It's in 4,000 feet. My uncle who lives there, my cousin, my mom's cousin, has turned it into a resort, a tourist resort. So that's my connection there. And my grandfather was the chief magistrate of Sikkim, which is like chief justice of Sikkim, before India took over Sikkim. And he was also the advisor to the king before he passed away. And now, like, my other uncles have moved to this place called it's a place called Kera Bari. Kera means banana, and Bari means a garden, banana garden. But there's no bananas around at all. It's just a name. So it's just on the other side of Darjeeling. So that's the view from the Darjeeling side. So you can see that landslide area. That's the Sikkim area, and that's Kanchenjunga. And those houses you see, the villages you see, that's where that area is, the Turuk area where my ancestors from my mother's side is from. So again, another testimony that I was there. So this is myself on the Sikkim side, and that on the background is a place called Kalimpong in Darjeeling, and that's where I went to school. So that's where I actually grew up. So I have the roots there in both Sikkim and Kalimpong. And Nepal is where I was born, but I think I was told that I was like 6 months old when I moved to Sikkim with my parents. So video to give you a flavor of like tourism in Sikkim.
Under the serene gaze of the mighty Kanchenjunga lies the once forbidden land of Sikkim. A place of natural wonder where pure mountain streams gush across the landscape to replenish its ancient hills. The gods are said to use Sikkim as their refuge during magical journeys across the Himalayas, and thus have kept it hidden from the eyes of mere mortals. Visitors to Sikkim are greeted by the misty landscape of the subtropics, which wind their way upwards through beautiful countryside to the rare heights of the snow-capped mountains. The process of unraveling this mystical land is still ongoing. For the true traveller, the essence of Sikkim lies in its mysticism of the everyday. Sikkim is so rich in its natural heritage that it is deemed to be one of the most important biodiversity enclaves in the world. Dense forests cover most of the state, only to give way to sublime alpine meadows carpeted with wildflowers of every hue and colour. From the beautiful to the eccentric, from big cats to shy individuals, nature in Sikkim has been left unhindered to follow the course it has meandered through for eons. The culture of Sikkim is a reflection of the balance in nature here. variety of ethnic groups, each with its own distinctive style and colourful ways. All the people of Sikkim linked with one binding thread: peace, harmony, and a love for all things nature. It is this collective ethos that protects and preserves its ecology and has led to Sikkim being a purely organic state. For the intrepid adventurer, the many trails that traverse the foothills and cut across the mountains form some of the best and most spectacular trekking routes in the world. And then there are the rivers. Surging down from the snowy summits, they provide the ultimate adrenaline rush. From a hive of activity to absolute relaxation. From traditional methods that heal the soul to more indulgent ways that provide instant gratification. A true travel destination that caters to all age groups and all budgets. From international standard hotels to mid-level and budget accommodations. Sikkim encourages and monitors homestays that are well appointed, comfortable and clean. A 4-hour drive leads to the regional airport hub, making Sikkim accessible throughout the year. Sikkim is the recent winner of the prestigious IBN 7 Diamond State Award for the best small state in India, based on its level of security, the state of the environment, and conditions of sanitation. The distances in Sikkim are short, but the experiences within them immense. Sikkim satisfies the body, the mind and the soul. It is one of the most complete destinations in India. A visit to Sikkim creates memories that last a lifetime. A journey here forms a beautiful state of mind.
So my mother told me that she went to study in India with a scholarship from the Indian government as an international student from Sikkim. So in Delhi University, a long time ago. So that was when Sikkim was a separate country. So that kind of sums up my presentation and also kind of tells you what my link to Sikkim is. So thank you for your attention. There seems to be some questions in Zoom.
Go ahead and raise your hand if you have a question or a comment.
You asked about the education system, like kindergarten through, like here, or?
Yes, yes, pretty much like here. Yeah.
I just want to say that, Anil, I have been your follower on your Facebook, and you take great picture of the nature. And now with your presentation, I can kind of like feel the world inside you and how it come across in such a poetic soul. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you for your kind words, Dr. Lam.
This was very well done. And my question is, like in India, some of the animals are treated somewhat like sacred. Are they treated that way in Sikkim?
Yes, it is because of the dominance of the Hindu population. The cow is still a sacred animal.
Do you have a special greeting like some areas in India use namaste?
Yes, yes.
And what is it?
It is Namaste because the dominant language there is Nepalese. And Nepalese language is pretty, it comes from the same Devanagari script of India, so many words are similar. But for Sikkimese, if you want to say like hello, it's Tashi Delek. Tashi Delek. Again, like some of the words are Tibetan, I guess. Yes.
Thank you very much. That was very enjoyable. I would love to see it again.
Very well done, thank you.
Thank you.
One other question. Often the left hand is forbidden. Or
Left hand.
same thing.
Yes, same thing. Yeah.
Will you explain that for the audience that not sure what the right hand and the left hand?
Yeah, so the left hand is called, it's like inauspicious, I think, am I right? Or
Yeah, well, with right hand, we use it to eat, right? Left hand is reserved for cleaning, washing.
yeah, cleaning.
And the same thing, because when I go to one of the temples, I accidentally reached in my purse with my left hand.
Left hand.
But I took it with my right hand, and somebody called me on that.
What if you're right left-handed? Me. I do everything else right-handed, but left-handed, I handwrite.
We have a question from Rama. You could open your mic.
Okay. So my question is, it's nice presentation. My question is, as you mentioned that Sikkim is a lost kingdom. So the people in Sikkim still feel that they are from the lost kingdom, or they feel themselves as own themselves as an Indian nationality.
Like there are two groups, like some feel that they lost their identity, whereas others feel they're better off being under India because it's a very pampered state of India. There's a lot of budget flowing into Sikkim, and like the social benefits and all that, it's more than any other state in India, I think. The people there are probably better off economically than before because of that status, special status. Now, if the special status goes away and if it becomes just like another state of India, then I'm not sure if people will be happy anymore. But that's what it is now. So yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, I mean, does that lost nationality affect other Himalayan countries, including Bhutan and Nepal? Like, how does that reflect on other countries after this Sikkim's event?
Yeah, that's why I mentioned that in Nepal we see the name Kazi Lendu Dorji as an insult. Right?
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions for Dr.? Okay. Well, we really appreciate Dr. Shanit for making the time from your busy schedule as a professor. So I know that it takes time to put a presentation together, and I know that as a researcher, you probably have a lot of things to do. So thank you. For those that are on Zoom, if you open your cameras and let's take our traditional picture with our presenter. So if you could put And for those that wants to be part of the picture, you could join us. Professors, if you could stand in the front, because we're gonna capture everybody that is in Zoom.
I can tell Dr. Anil has a lot of fans in the agriculture college.
We're not covering anyone in Zoom, right? No, that's good. Okay. Big smile.